Alright there. Hey you guys doing? Welcome to Mother Chicken Siamese. My name is Creepy Trucky, and you're watching How to Draw If You Can't Draw. Now, previously on How to Draw If You Can't Draw, we've been starting work on painting Iron Man starring Tony Stark, played by Robert Downing Jr. And today we're going to continue the process and continue painting, zooming in for 100% resolution, and I brought out the reference photo next to the painting so that we can see, so we can streamline the process and hopefully make this faster. Okay, and previously this is the progress we had so far, and it's not looking good yet. And you can see a couple of mistakes. First of all, over here you can see the brow, the shape of the brow and eyelids is not quite right. As you can see over here in the photo, RDJ's eyeballs are really big, and then they're pushing in the eyelid. The flesh of the eyelids are pushing up against his brow to form this shape here, and we haven't got that there. Now, one of the problems is because this area is in shadows, and while this area in the photograph is in the light, so we have to imagine the shape of this brow eye area, and then transfer the shape to the orientation in our painting, and then we shade it accordingly. Now, I've already painted a lot of different shades on the painting itself, so I don't need a palette anymore. So I'm just going to bring this up here, and we're going to try to paint out the outline, try the contour of that. I think the contour should be a little bit like this, and then this should frame the eyebrow shape of the eye here, and then we're going to shade it all the way down to the rest of the head, and then we're going to follow the cheekbones, try to get the shape of the cheekbones out, and of course the whole of the jaw will be in shadow, so we're just going to ignore that for the moment and continue working on the eye. And probably need another shade darker. Go to the color wheel, pick a shade darker, and we paint what is visible of Tony Stark's eyelids, just to reinforce it a little bit. Need a finer brush. It's right next to his eyeball, so it's somewhere here. It will be in complete shade of the eyeball. So, and we had to bear in mind that his eyes are looking in this direction, I think, more or less, and his head is actually orientated somewhat this way. Oh dear, there's a 3-axis orientation. Compass is not very good. Somewhat a bit more vertical, I guess, but yeah, this is the plane that his head is orientated, using this as a reference. And I'm just gonna tidy that up so you can see what I'm talking about. That is the plane of his forehead, and his head is a bit this way. Yep. Okay, just to keep that in mind so we know which direction the nose is pointing at. Okay, and we're gonna work on his brow, because obviously we have screwed up the brow a bit, because yeah, it's not the same shape. Now this area around here, we're trying to get it into the right shape. It's in distress, and so more or less the same emotion as in the reference photograph. It's just that align it a little bit to make it in the right orientation. It's very similar, but okay. I'm gonna pick a shade and I'm gonna paint it out, and it should be in shadow from this point onwards, so I'm gonna paint in that shade, that area. Oops, went over the eyebrow a little bit. The eyebrow is on the temporary color, so I don't really care that much, but it's better to keep the eyebrow painted in for reference. Okay, and pick the dark shade, and then we shade in this furrowed brow, and just right on his nose. So bear in mind where his whole face is orientated, and a bit of that, and this will be the part of the nose now. I am going to try to sketch the shape of his nose based on the reference from the photograph, but it might be wrong. We might have to go back a few times to check the nose is the right shape. So this is sort of like an outline, like a wireframe outline of what his nose should be. That should be right. That should be right. And the point of his nose is pointing this direction over here. as indicated by the reference. So we try to change the shape to match it. And because we're doing this digitally, we can just go ahead and sketch on top of a painting, because we can just paint it over really easily. And outline the nostril a little bit. His nose should cast a shadow in this direction, because the light is coming from this way. And you know what? We can just shade that in now. Why not? Secondary light sources might would illuminate the round surface on his nostril, so we just go with that. As you can see, I'm doing it fast and loose, and if you went to art class, your art teacher would tell you to fill in the general details first and work towards the finer details. But in the case, that is with traditional media, right? Like paint, like Crayolas, like pencil. But in the case of digital, right, you have the option of just doing whatever the hell you want, because everything is easily undoable. And I prefer to fill in certain fine details first, because as you're painting something, it gives you the satisfaction of you're actually doing something that looks right. Yeah, and that can help you motivate. That goes a long way in motivating you to finish a complicated project like a detail paint of someone's face. Yeah, especially when you don't exactly have a lot of traditional artist skills. I mean, as you can see here, my strokes are pretty lousy and pretty not well controlled, and that means to produce the same result with less skill, I need to go at this project for a long time. And in such a situation, you might find it's useful to find any method to keep you motivated. And in this case, my technique is, yeah, let's focus on a bit of the details, so we can get a tiny part of the face right, looking right, instead of trying to draw a big blurry mess and to get all the fundamentals in. Okie dokie, back to the eye area. I'm highlighting the brow a little bit here. Bear in mind, every round surface will reflect more light than any concave surface. So right on the brow, we have a convex round surface next to a concave valley. So we shade in the valleys, and we highlight the round surface, the convex surfaces on the person's face. And okay, there's this big bunch of flesh over here, and I think they will all be in shade because of the light orientation. Once again, the light is coming this way. On the photo, the light is coming the reference photo, the light is going all over the place because of movie making. And I'm gonna try to keep this as real as possible. Yeah, I think this will be in shade. This will be in shade. This will be in shade. Just right in the valley of the nose, that will be in shade more. Shade it in, shade it in. This part of his eye bags is obviously going to be in a lot of shade. I think this will still be in the shade of the nose. We're going to differentiate and light and gradient it. Oh, well, it's not a true gradient, but we're basically zoning and gradient, putting a zone gradient on the shading to give it a rotoscope look. Yeah, there might be a little bit of a highlight here because his eye bags are actually round. His eyelids are definitely round, so okay, may have oversized his eyeballs a little bit. So gonna pick a dark purple shade, fill in the pink area on the inside of his eyelid, basically the tear duct region. And yes, a rudimentary knowledge of the human anatomy is helpful when you're drawing a human. I think this is right. Adjust the eye a little bit, bearing in mind what he's looking at. And In the reference photo, you can't really see the eyelid because it's looking upwards and it's pushing all the eyelid tissue or flesh into the brow. So we're gonna do the exact same thing here. You're gonna choose the highlight. There should be a little bit of highlight left, original highlight left. And the nose should cast a shadow around the brow, up to maybe just the middle of the eyebrow area, maybe up here. And then you come back to shade on the other side. Wait, I got the wrong shade. Oops. I got the sun in my eye, so I can't see the shades properly. Excuses. And keep it down, keep it down. Try to get the shape of the curvature. See the orientation, check the orientation, that looks good. Alright, let's move on to the cheek. Okay, the RDJ's cheekbones are a bit low, so I'm gonna guess this whole area here, this whole area is gonna be in shade. Alright, let's shade it out. Maybe a little bit of highlight over there. Maybe? From the photo reference, doesn't look like he's gonna... Oh, wait, I just remembered something. There's a secondary light source in my panel coming from below. Second light. So, I forgot to consider that. Yeah, you can see in the shading over here on my previous panel, this part of his tunic is light up. So, underneath the jaw, there's a because he's sitting on a pillow that blocks out the second light. So second light is actually from this here. Okay, so we'll have to highlight his jaw from the secondary light source. Bear in mind how big we want his chin to be. This is how big we want his chin to be. And primary light source is still over here. And his head is pointing a bit towards the light source, so his nose will be well lit up. Not too much shading on his nose. No, point of his nose, sorry. Point of his nose. But we probably do want to get a bit of shading to get the shape out, because RDJ is very famous for his big pointy nose with a big round point over here. And we want to make the shape stand out so that people can recognize him. Bear in mind, your audience is not going to immediately know what you're drawing. And so it's best to show off the best recognizable features of your subject. Okay, at this point, I'm thinking about whether or not to shade this or shade, but we'll continue on with the nose. We pick a nice dark shade, and then we shade the back of the nostril. This should be the right shape of his nostril. His nose is pointing this way, and so you're gonna need a bit more shade than what we see in the photograph. And of course, this mouth area line, the line thing. And now it's time to shade the mouth area. It's pointing that way, so part of his mouth, will be well illuminated, I guess. Shape of his mouth. And because his head is pointed slightly towards the light source, his chin will reflect the illumination from the light source. Because remember, the chin is quite round, and even before considering the facial hair, it will reflect quite a bit of light. Okay, and we can start. I'm going to start highlighting the other side of his head. Oh boy, overpaint a bit over there. Erase. Another great thing about, as I said before, it's very easy to correct your mistakes in digital, and you can do the same thing if you're using physical media, traditional media. The problem is, if you're using pencil, you have to erase, and that damages the media you're drawing on. Even if you're using a putty eraser, you'll slowly damage the paper. And if you're painting, you have to wait for the paint to dry, seal it, and then paint over again to correct any mistakes. And that is extremely time wasting. I mean, time tedious. We wouldn't call it wasting. Because, okay, I need to remove the previous progress, otherwise I can't see what I'm doing on. I think that's the shape of his, yeah, his cheekbone is a bit lower, so his cheek will be his cheekbone should be somewhere like that. And because his cheekbone is round, you'll be reflecting light, top shade, and drop one shade down. Hang on, this is way too dark. Hang on. Yeah, it's way too dark. I had to use pick this, compare. Yeah, I can lighten it up a little bit, lighten it up. Okay, go again. And just on this side of his eye, same thing. This is actually part of his brow, but because of his eyelid flesh underneath it, it's pushing it up and making it really curvy. So it's going to reflect quite a bit of light. And right next to that will be his eyelid area, which is all compressed into one line. So that will be in a dark shade, and shade that in. Notice the shape of the big round eyes is showing up against the flesh. And then we're gonna lightly mark out the eyelids. It's gonna change the shape a little bit because of the orientation of the head, so it's not the same as in the photo. And because of the illumination, it's gonna be slightly different. Yeah, I'm starting to make mistakes because of over-reliance on the photo reference. As you can see, his face is a bit too flat, whereas the orientation is clearly states pointing up to a little bit to his right. I'm going to try to correct that laterwards, but bearing in mind the shading. Shade his eyelid, and then this surface will face the light source, so it'll be lighter up. So go for broke. Hit our highest highlight shade, and highlight a bit of his nose, the T-zone. And although it's concave, that bit over there is an illumination. That should show up like that, and that should blend right into his the curved profile, the round bit on his nose, on his bridge, and right to his round point. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good at all. Yeah. Take one shade back. Take one shade back, and shade back the region right before its T-zone. See if that helps. Okay, I think we're just digging ourselves in the hole over and over again. Yep. Take one shade down. Okay. And bear in mind his expression of his eye is different. His lower eyelid will be higher up because it's in a lot of distress. And we're going to choose a box to outline the shape of the eye area, just keep consistent the shape of the size of the eye. It looks like the shape is more or less consistent. Although it might look like this eye is a little bit bigger, but we haven't drawn in the eyelid yet, remember? Okay. Oh dear, remove the box. Let's check on the video time. The video is coming up to, where is it? 20 minutes. Alright, I need to stop the video now. So I'll quickly do a draw in the eye, just to see, so we can see the progress. Okay, the box is not showing up. God damn it. Alright. Use a bit of white on the side of the eyeball that is clearly illuminated. We're pushing it right to the edge. fill in the iris with just plain black. Okay, and that's what we've done for today's video. Previously, this is what we started with. I'll show you. This is what we started with, and this is what we ended up with. There's a little bit of progress. Working there, we're getting there. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.